Hello, YouTube. Welcome to part 34. Wow. 33 was great. 32 was great. They've all been great. I am amazed that we're already at part 34. I would have never guessed that this playthrough was going to last that long, but that's how much cool stuff we've had to talk about. Obviously, if you've made it this far, you know the drill. Thumbs up, comment below, follow links in the description. Come hang out on Twitch sometime. Check out my other playthroughs after we finish this one. All that great stuff. I'm really grateful that you're here. Sub to the channel and watch part 34, which I'm going to start right now without further ado. Come, Atreus. Oh, you're back.
You're back. Are you with us? Good. It's time.
Time for what, dare I ask?
Time to unite the realms against Odin once and for all.
Tyr tried to unite the realms. The real Tyr. Everyone loved him. And even he failed.
Then we better not fail, or there will be no one left to try. This is Ragnarok.
And Odin's already heard every blasted plan we have.
Yes, we've lost the element of surprise. More than that, we have only one way to Asgard, and it's not subtle.
Yellow.
It means we enter from Tyr's temple, here. Asgard's wall is here. Odin's host of Einherjar will hold the space in between.
Which means we need armies of our own.
As many as will answer the call. Numbers Odin won't see coming.
And that's just to reach the wall. To breach the wall, we'll need to find Surtur.
Ratatoskr was able to procure this.
Convenient.
The three of us will go.
I know just where to look.
Splendid. Allies, then. Who do we think we can get?
I'll venture to Helheim. Try to recruit the army of the dead.
And I'll return to Alfheim to unite the elves.
Just like that. Unite the elves after centuries of war.
Well, they really like me in Alfheim.
And you? To Valheim.
Yes, to find Sigrun and muster the free Valkyries.
Midgard has no army.
No Niflheim, no Jotunheim.
That leaves only Svartalfheim.
I'll go to Svartalfheim.
Sindri? Are you sure?
I said I'll go.
Now, is that cool to see, Sindri? Yes. Do we want to get all excited and chase after Sindri and try to be all kumbaya? No. Sindri's got his own reasons for doing this. Sindri wants to avenge Brock, no doubt. And he's not doing this for us. He still can... See, something that I think gets lost sometimes in just trying to work together with fellow humans is you don't have to have a fully shared reason for doing the same thing. Like, Sindri can buy in for his own reasons, and sometimes that's good enough. We don't all have to be ideologically on the same page. In fact, we're not. Freya wants to take out Odin for her own reasons. Freyr has his reasons. Kratos and Atreus have their reasons. Sindri has his reason. There are a lot of people that would make a mistake here of trying to use this opportunity to chase after Sindri. Sindri doesn't owe us anything. And to chase after him would be a direct violation of the boundaries that he set with us back when we were in Midgard. So it's cool that he's reasserted that he's going to help. He's going to do his thing in Svartalfheim. Good enough. We do not have to chase him. We are not owed his friendliness or anything like that. We take what we can get from him and we let him warm up in whatever way he needs to warm up if he's going to warm up. But his reasons for doing this are to avenge his brother. That's it. He doesn't have to. We don't need him to care about the other stuff we care about at this point.
So be it.
Oh, baby. Shoot that rocket launcher.
Luck to us all.
Wolf pack rounds, am I right? Oh. pretty badass. It's very well thought out.
To Muspelheim to find the last fire giant. I almost envy everyone else's impossible mission.
Well, you think she's been planning this in her head the long time? Yes. Oh yeah, 100%. Freya's probably been planning this ever since their marriage dissolved, or while she was in the marriage. 100%. I don't fully understand how we're doing this without Odin knowing, but
You said you know where to look for Surtur.
Yeah, I unlocked the secrets in his shrine when I was in Muspelheim with Thor.
Thor,
Don't worry, he didn't see me go in.
that was not my worry.
Now look, when we find Surtur, we'll have to convince him to combine with his wife, Sinmara.
Combine.
Yeah, when the two of them, join, they'll create an enormous Asgard-destroying monster.
Oh my.
oh, okay. So I just kind of briefly here, that interaction to me is so perfect because Atreus is bold now in terms of talking about what happened because he realizes he's got his father on board. But that's a good thing. See, Atreus being reckless, not even reckless, just being super forthcoming about everything he's done at this point is exactly the position you want to be in as a parent. It is exactly what you want. You want to have cultivated a relationship with your child where they're willing to just say what they did and be as matter of fact as possible about it, and it gives you an opportunity to respond. That is absolutely the result of Kratos doing everything he's done to win Atreus' favor as his father. Absolutely fantastic that Atreus doesn't even hold back anymore. In the beginning of the game, Atreus was bobbing and weaving. Now he's just like, oh yeah, when I went to Muspelheim with Thor and we did blah, blah, blah. And it's great. Be the parent that your kids feel comfortable saying everything to. And you do that through your responses. And Kratos has done a good enough job of late not reacting and getting shitty with him that now Atreus feels confident sharing and disclosing what's going on in his life. Fabulous. The second piece of this that I really like is Atreus still shows his hand a lot on what he thinks Kratos is thinking. And if you're Kratos, you get a lot of information about your son through the assumptions he makes. So when Atreus is like, don't worry, Thor didn't see me, it's so beautifully simplistic. He thinks that Kratos is going to be mad that Thor could have possibly seen him go into the shrine. And Kratos is like, you have no idea, brother. It's not even close to that. But it shows that, like, Atreus is limited still in his conceptualization of the complexity of what it is to ride along with Thor in Muspelheim, which we would somewhat expect because he doesn't possess all the contextual knowledge. But it's so interesting to me sometimes with teenagers in particular, but not even just teenagers, adults at large, that the assumptions they make gives you information. A lot of people get really defensive on that. You don't need to get defensive on that. Just use that as information to get a sense of what people think you are thinking about them. It says a lot about their perceptions of you. But Kratos has done a really great job at this point cultivating that kind of relationship with Atreus, and I'm really encouraged to see that Atreus is just so open at this point. He's not worried anymore about his dad freaking out. And there's so much for all of us to learn in that. That, like, your responses to people are really are what are going to cultivate whether people continue to open up to you and close the gap, or whether people become averse to you.
Apologies. I have some doubts regarding negotiations with Rasfelger in Helheim. My thinking is that she may be more amenable to speaking with a member of the, deceased. Mimir, you're needed.
Oh, death is a skill now. I suppose these two can survive a bit without me. Brother, if you wouldn't mind.
Very well.
Many thanks. We'll catch up with you later.
Hey, I think I can see Surtur's forge in the distance.
Oh, is it that huge monolith over there with the big giant thing? That's like very pronounced in the horizon, Atreus? You're such a smart boy. I'm so proud of you, son. You could think that, but I wouldn't say that if I was Kratos. Nah, it's just behind that, yeah.
Surtur's wife. Where is she?
Niflheim, I think. If we head down towards that tower, we might be able to see the forge.
Let me get my loot, Atreus. And the hack silver I can no longer spend.
Heads up! I wonder if they saw their prophecy and decided to isolate themselves in their home realms to fight it.
Understandable.
Hopefully they'll understand why Ragnarok needs to happen now.
Do you think Kratos wasn't really doing the second order thing and way important in helping his kid dealing with his... Sean, I need you to rephrase that question, brother. I don't follow.
Look, over there.
Over where? Oh. Whoa!
I think the forge might be past this lava fall.
You know this.
When I was here before, I saw something that looked like a forge anyway.
I appreciate a lot that, again, I realize that I'm kind of belaboring this point, but it is such an important point for me to make. Like, if you're a parent watching this, I really cannot emphasize enough that Kratos' responses here to Atreus having information and having been here without him is exactly what you need to do when you're a parent. Kratos has divorced himself from, at least more than we've seen to this point. Kratos has divorced himself from this idea that Atreus is always in danger without him, and that it's an indictment on him as a parent if Atreus knows something that he wasn't present for. Like, he has gotten to a point where he appreciates that Atreus has been able to figure this out, and you hear it in the tone of voice that he has. He asks questions, he shows a level of admiration and acknowledgement of what Atreus has to offer here. He's not focusing on the fact that, like, I can't believe you came here and we're gonna talk about this when we're done. Which it would be him making it about himself and his parental bullshit. Instead, what he's doing is he's like, all right, that already happened. You have information. Let's use it. I appreciate that you're telling me. Bing, bang, boom. Which means that that's going to cultivate further disclosure from Atreus. Just by virtue of the fact that they have a much more cool relationship with each other, where Atreus is not constantly worrying about what Kratos is going to say if he even remotely pokes at the idea that he's not there and that he can't protect him. And I love that. And I really hope that any parent who plays this game or is watching this playthrough takes notes on that, because it's incredibly well written the way it's done. When he says, you need to trust me, and Kratos is constantly making things about himself as a parent that cuts across his autonomy, Atreus is withholding. He runs away. He is hard to work with. As soon as Kratos gets out of his own headspace about it and responds to the needs of his son and swallows some of his pride and meets his son where he's at, his son comes out of his shell and starts talking to him and is giving information, much of it useful, and it's fantastic. I think the initial act of leaving with Atreus was less about Kratos going for second order change by refusing to go to war and more about removing Atreus from that situation to allow him to process what happened in a relatively safe environment. You'd have to ask Kratos. I think it could be both. I don't think it has to be either. Look at this. Even here, they have like these cute little animals. I love it. All right. Where are we going? Okay, we're going this way.
We need to be ready for Surtur, in case he doesn't want to help us.
Ready?
Prophecy says he and Sinmara joined. But who knows how they're gonna feel about it now?
You would try to force these primordial beings into submission.
Well, I don't know. We can't win this war without them, right?
I love it. I love it. Yeah, allow Atreus to flex those wings, man.
We gotta be close. I can hear the fort. Alka!
Something ahead. Be ready.
It's a phantom!
Oh, the other thing that I want to point out a bit while we fight this thing is the way that Atreus tells Kratos to be ready.
We gotta take out these springs!
It's so important. Again, in showing his father that he's internalized him. And also in... Oh, shit. It helps Kratos know that his son is really thinking things through. And it also shows Kratos that he has blind sights. He has blind spots sometimes.
One of its runic springs must be hidden.
And that his son can help him find him. And I think that Kratos can really appreciate that.
Spring there. Nice job. I'm really sweaty.
Let us find Surtur.
Okay, I'll repeat what I said because I realized that that was probably pretty loud. Okay. So first of all, okay, so the point that I was making there is that when When Atreus says to Kratos, be ready for Surtur to say no, and Kratos goes, be ready. It's very interesting to me because usually Kratos is the one who says, be ready, as evidenced by when we stepped over that rock and Kratos is like, I can hear something, be ready. There are phrases and words that relationships will use to communicate certain things in a way that's kind of like coded language. And I really think that the be ready language has been internalized by both Kratos and Atreus as taking care of. It's no longer a phrase that rings for Atreus as you're incompetent and I know it, so I'm reminding you that you're incompetent. Atreus has finally internalized that as be ready is just, I know you're capable of this, and I'm just reminding you to keep your guard up in a time where you might not have your guard up. And what's really beautiful about Atreus saying to Kratos, be ready for Surtur to say no, is that's not the kind of be ready that Kratos is good at. That requires a level of social acumen that Kratos doesn't really possess. So now the be readies are exchanged in a way that's very holistic for their relationship. Atreus is reading people. Kratos reads situations and battle. And so now they're like working in tandem. They're working together. They've achieved a we that no longer makes phrases like that something that they perceive as a shot at each other, but rather something that they can combine into and push forward with. And that's super important from a bring them together, internalize each other's standpoint as they promised each other that they would do in Helheim. And I really like that little detail. With Kratos asking Atreus questions, isn't he making his son second guess himself or doubting Atreus' own knowledge? No. The thing that's really important here is the tone that you take. Kratos is not taking a condescending tone with Atreus when he's asking these questions. He's asking a curiosity-based question. He is trying to gather more information from Atreus. It is coming from more of a vibe of, I know you have information that it would be useful for me to have, thus I'm going to ask you questions because you are more knowledgeable than me. He's not asking Atreus those questions because he's trying to get Atreus to second guess himself or be condescending to him. So it's totally different. It's all about tone and context and reading the situation. But the idea that you're making your son second guess himself by asking questions is more of a projection or parental assumption than it is an actual read on the thing that's happening in the here and now. So you watch your tone on that, and you make sure that you're not making really nasty statements behind your questions, and you will be okay. All right. Let's keep it going.
Through the broken gate. I think we're close.
I also really love that Atreus is anticipating that Surtur might say no. That's a big change. Remember when we were going after Tyr? And Atreus is like, oh, he'll say yes. He'll be totally fine. He kind of believed that everybody was going to go along with him. There's some real growth and maturity here from Atreus in the fact that he's anticipating that Surtur may actually not be interested in helping them. That is absolutely Atreus learning from his experiences. That is why you have to allow Atreus to have certain experiences that are adverse enough that he can actually see that as a potential option. Because now what are we doing? We're planning for it. He's dialoguing with Kratos about what to anticipate, and we're getting into the gray area of what do we do if they say no. It's fantastic. It's very subtle, but it's very important to moving the relationship of Kratos and Atreus forward and developing them through this game. That Atreus has learned from his experiences because it's been scaffolded a bit by the people around him, and because he had to get kicked in the shins a bit in order for him to have a more realistic expectation of going into somebody's home and asking them for information, and asking them to help and expecting that they will. He's realizing there's more complexity to that. And that is movement toward formal operational thought, which you love to see. So much good stuff happening in here. Which in turn, as we talk so much about how Kratos is, like how Atreus is benefiting from the trust that Kratos has for him, Atreus showing that kind of growth is going to help ease Kratos' worries as well. Like, that's good for Kratos to see, because it's going to make him
That's gotta be it.
respond better. Oh boy. All right. Whoosh.
Hello? Surtur? Well, either it isn't him, or he's ignoring us. Come on.
Nope, we got to kill this raven first, Atreus. That's more important than anything else right now. Always is and always will be. Oh, I see it. Damn it.
Hello?
We seek a fire giant.
Go away.
What just happened? Hey, that wasn't...
We deal with these first.
Switching arrows!
Nope. God damn it. Hold the wrong weapon.
Another one?
Focus! He is the guardian of this realm. It is his right to defend it.
I love the empathy there. Like, look at the dude. You know what? Kratos really is awesome in this respect. I think it is so cool. I think a real advantage that Kratos has over anybody else that goes into an engagement like this is that he can empathize with the motivations of his enemy, which is a super underrated skill. So many people get so wrapped up in their own bullshit and see the types of actions that another person takes as being like, I know that my way is correct and you're fighting against that and you're wrong. Whereas Kratos he has a very healthy dose of respect for this guy's got the right to do this, Atreus. And so we're going to take it in stride. He is protecting his realm in the same way that we would do, which means that he's going to go all out. It means he's going to be ruthless. And it means that we're going to have to take this all the way to the end. He has such a healthy dose of respect for his enemies. And I think that's what makes him so adept in battle. I think it's what makes him just stand out above anybody else in terms of his ability to navigate the battlefield. It's amazing stuff. Really awesome that he can do that. But we all can do that. It's just a little easier for Kratos. And we can learn a lot from it.
Man, that is Surtur. He's got a lot to answer for.
As you said, we need him.
I doubt he's impressed by the fact that we just...
I won't help you.
Who are you?
Who you seek, and what's left of him.
Why won't you help us?
I don't want to.
Elaborate.
The circumstances that are happening in this game are circumstances that will not happen in real life. Okay, Ragnarok's not coming, blah, 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 blah. So we're going to take that for a second. I want to throw it out the window because what I'm about to say is very important. I don't want to is as valid of an excuse as anything else not to do something. And it is ironically something that so many people are averse to just saying as the reason why they're not going to do something. I admire Surtur so much for just saying, I'm not going to help you because I don't want to. That is a good enough reason, as much as people may not like to hear it. You should try saying that more often if that's the actual reason you don't want to do something. It is empowering. And if it's true, it's true. And if people get upset, it's their problem. If that's the reason you don't want to do something, just say, I just don't want to.
We'll die.
Doesn't matter if people
Right.
accept it.
Because
your boundary.
So much to live for.
Not me. Her.
So what's the point of all this? You keep separate from Sinmara just so you can sit here and wait to die? At least if you joined with her, you'd be together again.
We are together. Got her heart. She's got mine. It's not much, but it's enough.
But you're not even...
Have you ever been in love?
First of all, how freaking cool is that? Second of all, this is where we are seeing the lag in Atreus' development again. In the same way that I just gave Kratos an immense amount of respect for the fact that he could empathize with the motivations of his enemy, Atreus is making a big mistake here, which is that he's not taking a second to try to understand Surtur's motivations. He is back into his own, thinking that he can convince Surtur of what it is that he believes or is important, instead of trying to gather the information he needs to meet Surtur in a place where Surtur might be willing to connect with him. It's a fatal flaw that a lot of people make or have. And it's a big mistake that people make in their interactions when you don't do this. You can't just come in and go ham on somebody off your own motivations because you know how important they are. People are so much more likely to work with you if you take the time to get to know them a bit. I don't mean Atreus has to like go make tea and put a souffle in the oven and spend 3 days at Surtur's house getting to know him. That's not what I'm talking about. What I'm saying is that Atreus needs to take a second here and be curious about Surtur and get to know what his motivations are and understand the I don't want to, rather than getting his feathers ruffled and thinking that it means he has to convince him. Yes, Atreus, what we have to bring to him is important, but he has entirely different motivations. And maybe he doesn't think it's as important as we do because he's made his peace with good enough. The thing that I think a lot of people don't like about somebody like Surtur, who says, I'm not doing this because I don't want to, and I'm okay with things as they are, things are good enough, is usually those are people with absolutely outstanding boundaries that you're not going to penetrate. And if you can't penetrate a person's boundaries, that often feels like you're getting your agency stripped away, or your autonomy stripped away, or your ability to influence stripped away, or all three. And that's not an indictment on you. It's just a reflection of the fact that, like, this dude knows what he wants and knows what he's got and is willing to be cool with what he has. And there's a beauty to that, as frustrating as it can be.
It's pretty good.
And Odin will succeed. And all realms save Asgard will fall.
Yeah, he must die. It's true. But I won't sacrifice her any more than you would him. Sorry.
I respect the shit out of that guy.
Come.
Wait. Those blades. May I see them?
By the way, that's the best possible way you could get Kratos to back off, is to empathize with the fact that he would do anything to protect his son. As soon as Surtur's like, I'm gonna protect her the same way you protect your son, Kratos is like, all right, Atreus, get in the car. We're out, bud. I get it. Because as I ain't moving on that, and I know he's not moving on that. So plan B, baby. Hop in. We're out of here. But that's exactly what I was just talking about in the last tidbit. It's exactly what I was just talking about. Surtur just did what needed to be done in order to reach Kratos and get him to move on what Surtur wanted, which is for him to back off. Like, it's beautiful. He knew exactly how to empathize with Kratos. He knew exactly what he needed to say. And Kratos was like, all right, see you later, bud. All right, yep, you're right. I love it.
Yeah, there's primordial fire in those.
They are not of these lands.
Shouldn't matter. Yeah, that could work.
What could?
Put those in here, and I'll become your monster. But I don't want her involved at all.
But the prophecy says you two have to combine.
Look at Surtur's face. Look at Surtur's face. I love this. I love this so much. Surtur is so in control here, and Atreus is just like, but the prophecy, ah! And I love Surtur's face. If you're on YouTube, I want you to go back and I want you to just rewind that moment. Watch Surtur's face. Surtur's face like, this fucking kid, man, is really gonna come in here and try and throw prophecy shit at me right now. Kratos, control your freaking spawn, man. Come on. Like, really? I'm literally opening my heart for your dad to sink his blades in it. I'm meeting you halfway here, and you're gonna hit me with this stupid ass prophecy bullshit? Oh my god, his face was so perfect there. Oh my god.
Sure this'll work?
What have I got to live for?
Oh, I love it.
Not here. Follow me.
Surtur might be my new favorite character in the game.
Spark of the world.
Which is...
Place where Niflheim and Muspelheim meet. Where the first realms came into existence. You won't be able to get through these.
Bro.
Surtur?
Still me. Better than walking.
What a badass
What
dude.
awaits us at this spark of the world?
Magic, primordial stuff. With that and your blades and my heart, we'll be good. I'll get big, smash stuff. You'll like it.
But what'll happen when you change?
Dunno. Won't be me anymore.
But how will you, or, future new you, know when to attack Asgard?
You got the horn, right?
Yeah?
Then we're good.
Sora, were you here at the beginning of everything?
Yeah.
What was it like?
Oh, was it a Big Bang? Confirmation of the Big Bang Theory right here on Game Sessions with a Therapist, God of War Ragnarok with a Therapist, Part 34, featuring Surtur. You heard it here, folks.
So, here it is. The spark of the world.
Whoa, this is beautiful.
I'll meet you across.
This feels too easy. Odin knows we have Gjallarhorn. He knows you have the mask. After killing Brock, he knows we would seek Surtur to start this war.
But what other choice do we have?
None. He knows that too.
And that, my friends, is the closest you are ever going to hear Kratos get to saying, I'm anxious. That's the closest you're ever going to get. That right there. Because when Kratos generally speaks, he has a point. Kratos saying that, not really much point. That is all communication of anxiety to Atreus. That was really vulnerable for Kratos. He's like, this is too easy. Odin knows we're going to do this. He knows we don't have a choice, and that freaks me out. But Kratos hasn't really developed the language to just say, like, you know, Atreus, I'm worried right now. And I don't think he'd ever bring himself to say that, because he still can't really bring himself to a point where his son would emotionally take care of him. But the reason that I bring this point up is because different people have different ways of trying to communicate things when they don't possess the skills to communicate them directly. And if you spend enough time getting to know people and observing them, you can start reading in between the lines as best you can on what it is that they're actually trying to say or do. Kratos very rarely speaks without purpose. Him saying that there has no purpose other than to communicate some level of, I'm worried about this. I am anxious. And it's energy that I don't really know what to do with, because I can't go to the Crucible and just work it out. And I can't go to the Midgard and hunt deer. Very vulnerable moment for him. He just doesn't show it in a way we conventionally expect. Yeah, there was literally a raven sitting outside the gate here. Of course Odin knows that this is happening. Although Odin could be so blindly pissed off he doesn't have the mask right now, he might have lost a little bit of control. I don't know. But we're not going to read that. We're not going to use those unknown variables to try to make a call on what we do here. We're going to use the variables we have to do what we can. This is really freaking cool also. Surtur just broke down his own boundary. Do you think Curiosity changed his mind that moment when he saw Kratos had blades? Maybe. Perhaps he saw an option that didn't involve doing what Atreus was requesting that he does. It's hard to say without asking him. Yeah, I also want to know what's been going on with Thor and Sif's. Yeah, I'm with you on that. I would love to know what's going on there. And with Thrud. My dad just likes to go look for loot. You've been around a long time, Surtur. You can wait another 5 seconds for Daddy to go get those.
This is it.
What about Sinmara? Should we at least tell her?
No. It'd hurt her too much.
More than not knowing what happened to you?
Sometimes loving someone is about choosing the lesser pain.
That doesn't make any sense.
Promise you'll stay away from her.
You have our word.
Kratos gets it. Atreus will learn that in time. It's a little bit tricky because Surtur's making a decision on behalf of her that maybe isn't really his responsibility to make. At the same time, I think because we're on a time crunch and because we have him available to us and because we have to basically take his word on this, I think Kratos can appreciate that, like, all right, good enough for me, dude. Just help us out. There's a lot of nuance there that's very hard for me to go into and analyze with any decent depth without knowing more about their relationship.
Sorter, is stabbing you with the blade's gonna be enough to create this new you?
Sinmara's heart is cold. So beautifully cold. Your dad's now got my fire in those blades. If enough of me and the spark's fire go into enough of her, it should work.
Okay.
Yeah. This is one of those times, Atreus, where I don't think we need to ask questions. We just need to go. We just gotta do. I love that Atreus wants to figure this out. I also think this is a time for business. Baby.
Blades. Move! This'll hurt. Fire, her heart.
Wow.
Combine them, you get Ragnarok. It's time.
How long do you think this is gonna take?
Did he just orgasm?
Odin must have sent them!
Oh. Okay. Oops.
Behind you! Incoming!
Yeah. Oh boy.
Jump up! Get away from him!
Oh shit. Yeah. Oh yeah. Daddy and Bear.
Did it work? Sorter! Are you there?
That's freaking sick, dude. Holy crap.
Father! Over here! Whoa! Will you help us attack Asgard?
Oh, blow the horn.
Hear that? All we have to do is call him with Gjallarhorn when we're ready. Let's head back to Muspelheim. We can take the Mystic Gateway back from there.
Oh, oh, I feel so powerful. Holy shit. That voice, man, it rang through my bones.
It worked. I can't believe it. We got Ragnarok on our side. Sorter's plan just worked. I mean, the Valkyries were a small setback, but I bet we've got Odin worried now. He knows we're coming for him.
Very neutral. So, boy, I like that Atreus is encouraged by this, and I also think it's important to potentially not neutralize it, but again, put some perspective around it. Like, yes, it is awesome that this worked, Atreus. I agree with you completely. And also, we are not in any way, shape, or form going to let our guard down because of it. It is all the more reason for us to harness this confidence in a way that's going to be useful for us. I don't want to diminish it. I'm excited too.
Think about it. We're gonna show up to Asgard, and Ragnarok's gonna come in and wreck everything. Odin won't stand a chance. We're gonna win. Groa was right.
Groa failed to predict what we would sacrifice in return.
Maybe she could only see the big stuff.
Yes, but how many?
Is gonna work, right?
It must.
Yeah, right. But see, like, that's the thing is, what are we gonna? What's the cost of this? What is this gonna cost us? How many people in Asgard are gonna die because we're about to go ham on them with Mr. Ragnarok? It's tricky. I do appreciate Kratos's reassurance there of Atreus was pretty tactful by saying it must, because he wasn't directly reassuring Atreus, but he was also not saying I don't believe it will work. That was a very neutral way to basically go like, yeah, I hope so, but I don't know for sure.
Ragnarok's strength grows.
Yoo-hoo-hoo!
Hey, check out that cliff. Earthquake must have shook this place up enough to make a ledge.
More of Odin's forces.
I'm trying to finish the job exactly started.
What up, chicken? Snap!
There will be more.
We gotta get out of here.
Yeah, this is gonna be nutso wacko now. Thanks for being here, friends. I appreciate that so many of you come and hang out and watch these streams. And if you're watching this on YouTube, thank you.
You've fought in a lot of wars, right? You've never had anything like Ragnarok on your side?
I have. And the creature does not guarantee our victory.
Right.
Good. That's awesome. There you go. Way to engage Atreus' curiosity and be realistic. I love it. We got to keep him grounded here. I'm all for being excited, but we got to be careful. We cannot get overconfident because you'll get blinded to the shit that you'll get blinded to the nuance you have to pay attention to in order to be successful at this. It's also cool because it's an opportunity for Atreus to learn a bit about his dad, which I really like.
Another earthquake. This whole place is gonna fall apart if those keep happening.
What up, bitch? You Bifrost bitch!
Got some Bifrost on you! Be careful! Behind you! Incoming!
No, god damn it.
The Alpha.
Okay.
Looks like it's not vulnerable to sigil arrows.
This one is interesting. God. There- So it's got to be like right here, basically. I hate when this all gets derailed by these. But at the same time, like, I really want to freaking solve it.
Alka!
I'll take it, Ben. Honestly, just because I don't want to spend forever here. Not a time for questions. Time to tell me what to do. Use the existing fire as a trigger. Oh, okay. Yeah, I would have never figured that out.
Yeah, there we go.
I would have never remembered that. Thank you. Sigil arrows were poorly executed.
Father, the Einherjar aren't gonna stop attacking anytime soon. We need to get back.
There's one thing I could have done without this game, it would have been
Quiet.
those.
I mean, you're always quiet, but this feels different.
I had hoped my days of ceaseless battles were over. I had hoped to never see my son go to war.
So that's a really interesting exchange. That is, I want to put the caveat in front of this that it's impossible for me to know exactly why Atreus pointed that out. Because I could make an argument that Atreus possibly pointed out that Kratos was quiet because he himself is nervous and he's looking to his father for a degree of reassurance that maybe he's not getting. You know, his excitement wasn't exactly met with excitement on Kratos' part. And so it could be a reflection of Atreus. It also could be that Atreus really is attuned to his father and is recognizing that something's off. Perhaps he read into the questions or the statements that he was making about Odin in the same way I did, which is my dad must be anxious or something's off. But pointing out that he's quiet in that way, I think, is a very disarming thing. I think it's something that Kratos can walk into, and I give Kratos a lot of credit for owning up to, I was really hoping it would never come to this. Like, I think that's an okay thing to say to Atreus there. I don't think it puts pressure on him. I don't think it's anything he can't handle, because the reality is they're going. They've decided jointly that they're going. And I think it's okay for Kratos to be sad about that. It sucks when, as a parent, you have certain things that you really hope your kids do or don't experience, and then they do or don't experience them, and you're like, damn, man. Most parents don't want their kids to experience the same adversities that they faced. The reality is, even if they don't face the same ones you faced, they're going to face adversities. And that sucks. It's a bummer. But I really do appreciate Kratos' willingness to be vulnerable there and share that. And I'm sure, I don't think he's worried about Atreus' competence anymore. I think it's more of, I'm just worried about you having to see shit that I was really hoping you never have to see. You'll get through it just fine, son.
Sigil arrows right to their shield.
Ragnarok is here. They know what that means for Asgard.
Hi, guys. See, if I was these guys, I'd be like, all right, I just saw that shit go down. All right, I'm not going to fight. I'm going home.
We need to leave before anything else shows up. The gate is just through this crack in the rocks when you're ready. Father, I know we're doing the right thing. Ragnarok has to happen.
The price we and others paid for this war is high. It will only get higher.
It'll be worth it.
A lot of you are gonna die, and that's a sacrifice I'm willing to make. That is total teenage vibes there. That is total lack of contextual awareness, which I can give Atreus a pass for because he's a teenager, but pff, dude, like, I'll do anything for my father to stay alive, even if it means slaughtering just hundreds upon thousands of his guardians. It'll be worth it. That's the real disparity between Kratos and Atreus here. Like, Kratos is like, dude, this shit sucks. Like, you don't want this to weigh on you, brother. You don't want this on your subconscious for your entire life. And Atreus is like, nah, man, but Dad will be alive for a few more years. So, totally worth it. I'm willing to make that sacrifice. Thank you for the sub, Nolan.
Brothers, how did it go? And yes, my usefulness to a certain Vanir numpty did run out.
Just staple Mimir to the gate.
Ragnarok awaits our call.
As do the armies of hell. Thanks mostly to me. It seems war is upon us at last. Where to now, brother? We've some time before we're expected at the temple.
This could be our last chance, Father. Is there anything you want to finish up?
Nope. I get it. Point of no return. Minor gripe. Just a minor gripe, because this game is as close to perfection I think as a game can get. Okay. I would have loved to have seen that. I would have loved if it meant we had these little mini sagas to go to the different realms and see that happen. It kind of bums me out that we're like, all right, we're going to go to Muspelheim and everybody else is going to do their thing. We're going to divide and conquer here, and we don't get to see how that goes down. That's a bummer to me. I would have loved to have seen how Mimir did that. Like, how are we uniting the realms in 5 minutes after all of the exposition of the game? Again, it's a minor gripe. I get it. There's a lot of resources that takes. I understand that game development is complicated, but man, would I have loved to have seen that.
Well, this is it then. The beginning of the end.
The end for Odin. And after that, a new beginning for the rest of us.
Atreus.
I know. I'm just looking forward to seeing all the realms finally standing up to him. Elves and dwarves and hell itself.
You are so certain they will unite?
They have to. After everything they've been through. They have to. Don't they?
No, they don't have to, because they could very well be so locked up in all the stuff that they care about that this is not as important to them. They might be losing the forest for the trees. They have to, as far as we're concerned, but people have agency, Atreus. That's the problem. One of the most complicated things that you learn as an adult is that people act on their own agenda. People go where they care about. They focus on their subjective experience more than anything else, even if it's at the expense of the objective. I would love it if they did, buddy, but can't guarantee it. People act in their own self-interest. And they have self-interests that are diametrically opposed to each other, and that may cloud them from joining us, but who knows? We'll find out.
Anything in Midgard you want to do? You know, while we still can.
Freya and the others are still making preparations for the attack, so there's time.
All right, I get it, guys. Point of no return. End of the game's coming. I actually don't know. That there is anything else that I want to do. Crucible I don't want to do. Flowers I'm whatever on. Berserker Souls whatever. Hell Tears. Yeah, no, I'm good. I don't need to 100% this. That would be pretty mean. I agree, Scott. That would not be nice. I hear a raven. Kratos, Montana. Not as good as the throw that we had a while back, but I'll take that one. 43? Not bad, man. For not actively looking for them, I feel pretty good about not having found only 5 of them.
So, sounds like things went well enough in Muspelheim.
I mean, probably. Surtur didn't want Samara involved. So instead of them combining to form the Ragnarok beast, we did a workaround that left her out of it.
Well, hopefully he still shows up at Ragnarok to plunge his sword into the heart of Asgard.
And where is that exactly?
Only Surtur knows.
Oh.
Okay, ready when you are.
Oh, I'm ready, my friend. I'm ready, my boy.
All the armies are probably gathered in their home realms, waiting for when we blow Gallarhorn. Guess I was kind of hoping to see some of them here.
When all the realm towers open at once, we'll see plenty, lad. Odin won't believe what's coming for him.
No. Odin had lifetimes to prepare for this. Whatever Groa's deception, he heard the truth as Tyr. Do not underestimate him.
Rousing speech, brother. Very inspirational.
Yeah, but very realistic. We don't really need inspiration right now, Mimir. We have to know what we're working with. Like, so that's the thing. That's what we have to do. It's not defeatist to acknowledge the reality of what it is that we're walking into here. And I appreciate immensely Kratos' perspective on this. If I'm a follower, I want Kratos as my leader. Because Kratos is not underestimating Odin. Kratos is like, dude, that guy got right under our noses. He heard everything. He was Tyr. At this point, I am so far beyond ever conceptual. Like, he could do shit I haven't even thought about before. So as far as I'm concerned, Odin is the most terrifying thing in the entire world, and we are not going to take a single thing for granted because this dude knows exactly what it is that we're trying to accomplish. Is that a bummer? Yes. Is that reality? Yes. And we have to attend to reality if we're going to do anything meaningful here. So good on Kratos for being like, we don't need to be cheery.
Wow. The Valkyries look different.
Welcome back. Hildisfini informed me of your success. We've been planning accordingly.
Well, what would Ragnarok be without Ragnarok?
Who else agreed to join us? I see the Valkyries.
Better than that. They are reborn. Corporeal and uncorrupted, thanks to no small amount of Vanir magic. They're shield maidens now.
Nice.
And your brother?
He came through. The elves called a truce to unite against Asgard. That gives us an advantage by air. And with Hell's army for a vanguard.
What about Sindri? Will the dwarves fight?
We haven't heard from him. But there's time yet. And I think we have what we need to clear a path for the Ragnarok beast.
Well, when you say it like that, why worry at all? Sigrun! It's good to see you so... alive.
Oh. Yes. I wasn't myself when last we met. I'm glad you're safe. My queen, the Shield Maidens will be divided among the forces breaching from Alfheim, Helheim, and here in Midgard. We stand ready. Kratos, Atreus, Mimir, please excuse me.
Oh. Good night, then.
Freya, have you determined our path out of Asgard?
It's this is such a huge moment for Mimir. He gets to see Sigrun, and she's like goodbye. And I love that Kratos is just like, boom, straps him to his ass. Like, there's no acknowledgement from Kratos that this is such a huge moment for his best friend. He's just like, nah, get on my ass, buddy. We got shit we gotta do. I don't care that your ex is here. Like, he just so casually puts him back. Oh my god. Oh man. What kind of friend does that? Like, dude, you gotta do your friend a solid there. Like, give him a chance to, like, you know, look her over or say something else, or like even just like appreciate the moment. Kratos is just like, all right, good enough. Bam. Face the other way, bud. Smell my ass and face the other way. Oh my god, dude.
The towers are the way in. We count on them being the way out.
And if they are not?
Then we all know what we signed up for. Our plan is only missing one thing. A leader.
That honor is yours. You have a righteous claim. And the respect of your troops. And you have faced this enemy before.
I held his invading army to a stalemate. This is our invasion. A siege on his terrain. I want our most experienced wartime general in the field. I don't care about the honors. I don't care about the prophecies and champions. I just need us to win.
Freya.
I know what I'm asking. Just sleep on it.
I can appreciate that. How long's the appropriate amount of time to hold him after the goodnight is said? I think until we start moving forward. And that is a big ask by Freya. I appreciate that she understands the gravity of that ask. And I think it's okay.
Here we are. Kratos, your tent is to the right, and Atreus, yours is to the left.
Mine?
A young warrior needs his own space, don't you think?
I do. Wow. Thanks.
Sleep on what we spoke of. Let me know in the morning what you decide.
And notice how Kratos doesn't fight that, because I think Kratos can appreciate that.
Hildy, come join us. Have a seat.
I miss anything?
I was just telling him about the time I asked you to play damsel in distress. Okay, then, when she had them distracted, I jumped in heroically, and together we took them all down. There must have been 100. I don't know, maybe more.
Spare us your gloating.
Does it really bother you that some of my ideas actually work?
No, but I do envy you.
In what realm? Spare me the patronizing.
I've calculated every risk I've ever taken. Tried to mitigate all the ways it could go wrong, and still, it all falls apart. You just throw yourself into situations in harm's way, and somehow it always works out for you. You always end up all right with that stupid grin.
I'd argue my trip to Asgard didn't go quite so well.
Yes, there are some lessons to be learned by planning. And others by learning to adapt. That's why you two are such a great team.
I'd argue it's because we had such a lousy old man.
Sorry. It's true Njord was not much of a father. But he's the reason we were able to be a family.
Yeah, funny you should be so hard on him, Freyr, since you inherited his wanderlust. Especially in times of importance.
That's not true. I had good reason for leaving those times. Tell her.
I have missed this.
My apologies, but I would like to be alone with my thoughts.
We will leave you to them then.
I noticed you had some thoughts when Freya said the Elves United. Yeah, it goes back to my little minor gripe. I want to see that. I want to see how Freyr got the elves to go into a ceasefire and magically agree to do this. Like, I mean, again, I'm not really interested in being super critical of Sony Santa Monica here because I understand game development's hard. This game has a lot in it. Like, this game is absolutely jam-packed with stuff. And it almost like, you know, there's a tendency sometimes when people do a really good job on stuff that you want to expect more out of them because they've shown you that they can do an amazing amount of stuff. And I don't want to be that guy that is like entitled to more from a studio that's already made something that's so incredible. if I don't know that I'd even call it my frustration, but my gripe with this is that in the same way that Freya asking Kratos what she asked for is a big freaking deal, that's what's happening for all these other groups. Like, to ask the elves into a ceasefire so that they join us on attacking Asgard and bringing forth Ragnarok. Like, that doesn't just like happen. Like, that doesn't, you don't just go in there as Freyr and go, what up, guys? I know you thought that I was gone. I'm back. You remember me? We're cool. I united the realm. You guys liked me. You thought I was neat. You put your differences aside. Yeah, so we're going to have this big Ragnarok war beast going to roll its way through to kill Odin, who, by the way, y'all are afraid of because he's omniscient. And yeah, like, we got like Kratos and Atreus. It's pretty dope. What do you think, guys? You in? You want to come meet in Midgard? We'll go in the front door? Like, that's not how it works. So I think that there's probably some acknowledgement on Sony Santa Monica's part that there is a ridiculous amount of work that would have to be done there in order for it to work. And so you kind of bypass that by being like, yeah, Freyr went and he made it work and we're going to go kill Odin. The bummer about that for me is that it sort of hurts it sort of hurts the experience insofar as, like, we had so much build up to this moment. Like, so there's so much reason for everybody to be angry at Odin. But so much of right now what's happening and going after Odin is driven by our own shit and is driven by information that we have that may not even be completely believable. Like, imagine that, like, you go to Alfheim and you somehow manage to get in front of the light elves and the dark elves, whether simultaneously or separately. And you go in front of them and you say, okay, so, hey, guys, gather around. Bring it in, guys. So there's this mask, and this mask is pretty magical, and it was in 3 parts. And this kid Atreus, who's actually like a giant, if you can even believe those guys are still around, so he was able to read that mask and help Odin assemble it. Don't even mind the fact that he managed to get to Asgard and get in front of Odin and all that jazz. But there's this mask, okay? And apparently this mask, Odin really wants it because he gets like all this knowledge and stuff. Well, he almost got it, but then he killed our dwarf friend. But thank God Kratos chucked a spear through it, so we've got it. Don't worry. Oh, and by the way, we have Gjallarhorn because Heimdall's dead, and I don't know how you feel about the fact that we literally have Ragnarok in our hands, and we have like the most OP rocket launcher ever. And I know that you guys have been waiting for Xur to bring it. Wait, okay, forget that part. But you get what I'm saying? Like, you go in there and you say all this shit, and the elves are like, dude, we got our own shit that we're trying to figure out here. What on earth would make you think that we should believe you? Also, first of all, Freyr, where you been, brother? Like, there's so much there that I would love to have fleshed out. It's kind of like in Mass Effect 3, when you're trying to gather all the factions that you can possibly gather against the Reapers, and it feels like this helpless threat because you're like, nobody wants to even believe that the Reapers are true because they've been propagandized. One of the things that you would run into, for example, if you're Sindri and you go to Svartalfheim and you're trying to recruit the dwarves have no reason to help you because the dwarves are terrified of Odin. Odin has propagandized the shit out of them and rules with an iron fist. Trying to get the dwarves to essentially unionize against the corporation of Odin is a ridiculously tall task, because they are really putting their lives on the line here. So I would love to see if Sindri manages to accomplish that. I would love to know how he did it. I would love to know how Freyr got to the elves. I would love to know how Freya, what happened when she went into Vanaheim and got the Valkyries. Like, how did she get the Valkyries to be like, yeah, sure, we're in, we're Gucci. Like, there's so much there that's happening that requires just this immense amount of movement that, like, you could never capture it in a game. Like, I understand that because the game would be 300 hours long. if you were going to try to go into all the complexity of that. But it's a little bit of a bummer to me that we have to hear it secondhand and that it all happened at once and it was super easy. Like, even if Freyr was like, dude, I went in there and it was really hard to do. Like, it was really hard to go in there and get them to do this because they had demands and there's stuff that we got to do for them when we get out. Like, that kind of shit would make this a lot more, like, believable and interesting for me. Again, it's a minor nitpick. It's a minor nitpick. Don't go into my YouTube comments and roast me. Do leave a comment. If you're like, DrMick, the game development time, like, I understand. I'm just saying. From a psychological perspective and from like a consistency standpoint and trying to like a world building standpoint, I would absolutely have loved to have seen those conversations. Alfheim coming in with A10 Warthogs. Yeah, dude. Master Chief's gonna come in from the sky. I don't have a lot of analysis for Freya's request of Kratos, by the way. It makes sense. I think Kratos knows it makes sense. It's a big ask, but it's also one that makes sense from a pragmatic standpoint. You know? Like, I think as much as Kratos may be bummed out that he's going to war again and that his son's going with him, I think he appreciates the moment and understands it. And so Freya asking him that makes sense. She's not asking him to be her monster. She is showing a level of respect. She's not demanding that he do it. She was willing to acknowledge that it's a big ask, but she's giving him the autonomy to make a decision rather than demanding it of him. I think if she had demanded it of him, he probably would have maybe exerted a little more against it. Maybe not, but is what it is.
Excuse me. May I have a moment with Mimir?
Mimir, would you like that moment?
I don't know what tomorrow brings, but if tonight is our last night, I'd like to spend it feeling something besides hate. Will you tell me one last silly story?
There's nothing I'd like more, except perhaps a dance. Though I may have lost a step.
She's like, Mimir, I know you still got that mouth.
Respect, love. I don't tell silly stories.
You only tell silly stories, Mimir.
I can never argue with you.
Hey! Look at that! Little respect for the blades? Huh? Blades got more purpose rather than to just chain my man down? You like that? I think it is. I think it's his respect for Surtur, for sure. But I also think the blades carry different meaning now. He didn't just chuck him on the floor this time. All right, bring on Faye. 'Tis the night before battle. Dream about Faye. Calling it right now. It's gonna happen. Because we get close to our attachment figures in times of adversity and distress. What better way to get it closer to your attachment figure of Faye than to fall asleep and dream about her? Oh.
Can I sleep here tonight?
Oh, yes! All right, Atreus doing me a solid. Attachment. Proximity in times of distress. As much as he wants to be Mr. Warrior God. Can I sleep here with you, Dad? Like, that's very, very understandable response there. That Atreus would seek proximity to his dad. And I think that that's going to be meaningful for Atreus and also for Kratos. Because again, it's a reminder to Kratos of like, you know, Dad, I choose to hang out with you. I feel safe around you. And I choose that. Super important. Watch my attachment video if you haven't. You'll appreciate this scene a hell of a lot more if you do. Give him your pillow, Kratos. Nah. You can go get it from your tent, son.
You must quiet your mind.
I can't.
Then I will tell you a story.
If I fall asleep, promise you'll finish it tomorrow?
Of course. Now, close your eyes. There was an old man who chopped wood for his village. Every evening he bore the logs on his back and delivered them to his people. But the logs were heavy, and he grew weaker as time went. And one day, he threw down the logs as he could no longer bear their weight. And he called for death to come to him. And when death arrived,
I mean, come on. Wow. I'm trying to think. I'm trying to think of the best way to even like talk about this because like I have a lot to say about it. I mean, what an amazing moment there. I mean, that whole scene is orchestrated so well. I think it's a testament to how important each one of them is to the other. For Atreus, Kratos is just dad. Like it's dad. It's the guy who protects me. It's the guy who I seek proximity to when shit's bad. I may have pushed against it, but at the end of the day, I trust him. He's been there for me. He has consistently shown up, even when I've messed up. And even if it means like I carry him internally and that makes me feel safe generally because I'm so well attached to him at this point, It still helps me a lot when I'm near him. Doesn't matter how old you are. If you have that kind of relationship with your parents, which I wish every single person would. I know there are people watching this who desperately wish they could have had this kind of relationship with their parents. But to have that kind of relationship with a parent where you can lean on it in that way it's an unbelievable experience. It is something that Atreus will draw upon throughout his entire life as he builds his own self-esteem and finds his own way. That ability to seek that proximity to your parent means a lot. And even if your parent dies, there are still ways that you do it. You keep them in your mind. You keep them close. You draw upon what do you think they would have said. You find yourself reminiscing about your parent, even when they're not around, or whatever it is, or whoever your primary attachment figure was. Doesn't necessarily have to be a parent. But Atreus, as a teenager coming into this tent, when he was given the ultimate acknowledgement of his autonomy, of having his own tent before a battle, for Atreus to walk in and say to Kratos, I want to sleep here. I'm having a hard time calming my mind down, and I need my dad. That's cool. And is really, I think, the culmination of like what Kratos has been trying to create. Hard not to be emotional when you see that. It's cool. And for Kratos, it's a reminder that he's needed. Damn. I wasn't expecting to get emotional at this part. It's a reminder that like he can still do something different for himself, for his son, that like you're not doomed to be the narrative that you've spun up for yourself throughout your life. Like Kratos has been so worried about being a monster that his son gives him a chance to like really reflect and be like, okay, but I changed that. I did something. I took care of this kid to a point that like right now, on the eve of this crazy ass shit that we're about to go into, my son wants to come hang out with me in the tent. I wanted to die many times, and I have died, but I'm glad I'm not dead because I have that. Like it's so reparative for both of them to have that moment. And for Atreus to basically like instantly fall asleep there shows the level of safety that he's cultivated. And it's a reminder to Kratos that like your son does not see you the way that you see you. And that matters. Maybe it means that you can drop the rope on the monster thing. Maybe you don't have to be the god of war anymore. Maybe you could be revered as a peaceful guy, a guy who united realms, a guy who led the proletariat to battle, essentially. You don't have to be remembered by everybody else or even by yourself the way that you have been so desperately worried you were going to be remembered as. And the entire reason that Kratos is able to achieve that is because he has thought about it. He's made the effort. If there is one takeaway from this entire game that I really hope that every single person takes away is that at any point in time, you can choose to do differently. You are not slave to your narrative. You do not have to continue to do things a certain way because you think that's who you are. At any point in time, as much effort and energy as it may take to do it, you can make an adjustment. You could have this kind of moment. You just have to put the work in. And my God, has Kratos put the work in. It's awesome. It's just, this might be my favorite scene of the whole game. It's so beautifully constructed. It's awesome. Now I bet we dream about Faye. It would be so perfect if we do.
Faye's the only one who ever got my highbrow sense of humor. Damn fine woman.
Or Brock. Close enough.
Apart from her taste in men, of course.
She was a special woman. She wanted to protect people.
She was here. She saw every step we took before we took it. Like she was always with us. Watching over us. Leading us home.
Does my request upset you?
I didn't call that Tyr was Odin, but a dream about Faye? Good on you, Sony. Good on you. Because if I was consultant, I'd have said, make him have a dream about Faye.
F is a natural part of life, my love. I wish only to be prepared for when my time comes. We mortals must do such things. I am glad to have you prepare with me.
So here's the reason why I wanted this to happen and why I would have consulted it to happen if you didn't pick up on it back when we were in the tent and then Atreus popped in. You don't have to actually physically be in proximity to an attachment figure in order to like be drawn closer to them. So dreams, I'm not big on dream interpretation. Nobody understands dreams fully. Don't ever let somebody tell you that they know better about your dreams than you do. They don't. Your interpretation of your dreams is the important part. But it is a very real phenomenon at times where people in times of distress, when they sleep, will sometimes see certain figures in their dreams, oftentimes attachment figures. And in this case, Kratos is seeing Faye. And because Faye is consistent and reliable. It is somebody that he invested deeply in. I also think that Faye is very much a tangible representation of all the changes that Kratos decided to make as a result of being around her. She is an easy person for him to load a lot of that into. Now, he would need to be careful not to overly load it into and associate Faye with all the changes because ultimately he's the one that made them. But the fact that he, on the night of a giant battle that he doesn't really want to go into, where he's worried about his son and he knows the gravity of it all, the fact that he would fall asleep and see Faye here, it tracks 100%. And I will remind everybody again, as I have in every single dream sequence, this is not Faye. This is Kratos' internal representation of Faye, which are two different things.
Quiet?
I have nothing to say.
Well, say something. I enjoy hearing your voice.
I have a bucket.
Oh. I would have chosen different.
Oh?
Thank you, Siora, for the sub.
Land, we entomb our loved ones.
You would have me trapped in the ground for eternity.
I would have you close to me.
How touching. My rotting corpse would bring you such comfort.
My controller is so soft and supple when I swipe against it.
You once tried to take charge of your ending, did you know?
That was different.
Circumstance, yes. But not on purpose.
You prepare for a distant future. There is much time ahead of us.
I wish to better a future that will exist without me, whenever that day comes. For you and for our son. We will always walk together, Kratos. You will always be a part of me. I will always be a part of you.
And when you are gone, that part of me dies as well. To feel your absence.
Culmination of love is grief. And yet we love, despite the inevitable.
She ain't wrong. Sorry to cut this off, but she ain't wrong. In fact, that is oftentimes what makes it hard for some people to get close. Because the more close you get to somebody, the more you invest yourself in them, the more painful it can be to lose them. And that in some ways, the fear of losing somebody can actually impede people from doing things or from making decisions that create closeness. And to me, that's one of the great tragedies in a relationship when one or both people are so averse to the grief of loss that they don't give themselves an opportunity to invest in what they have in the moment. It's a real way that people divest themselves from what they have. And it's a shame because, yeah, the closer you get to somebody, the more painful it is to lose them. That doesn't even necessarily have to be via death. It could be something like a breakup. Some people don't even engage in relationships because they're afraid of breakups. The harder a breakup is, potentially means the more testament to the strength or to the depth or to the meaningfulness, at the very least, of the relationship in the first place. It can be really hard to move yourself toward closeness, particularly if you have not had stable, reliable relationships in your life. Because that fear of loss, the pain of having to live without, is a true thing. It is something that you can absolutely get through. But you don't want to poison an amazing relationship that you're capable of being present in because you're afraid of what could or will happen down the line. And unfortunately, people do that because they're so averse to the discomfort of that. What's kind of amazing about the whole thing is that if you actually take these moments to be as close as possible, to invest yourself in the relationship in a meaningful way, to cultivate that intimacy, it actually makes the loss easier to bear in the long run. Yeah, it's going to hurt like hell when you lose the person, but you've got a well of awesome stuff to draw upon as you remember them in grief. One of the worst things that can happen in grief is when people say, you know, I was so worried about this moment that I didn't cherish the moments that I had. I wasn't present for those because I was so afraid of this. And being afraid of this didn't make it any easier. Shit. So really be mindful of that, friends, if that's something that you tend to focus on, if it sucks you out of relationships that you could be present in and are healthy for you now.
Open our hearts to it. When the pyre is spent, and you have gathered my ashes, spread them from the highest peak in all the realms. You will do this for me.
Way to use a directive.
To grieve deeply is to have loved fully.
Mm-hmm.
Open your heart to the world as you have opened it to me, and you will find every reason to keep living in it.
What a transition. Are you kidding me right now? Come on.
What's going on?
It is time.
I wish when I paused this, you could see it. Again, this is the second time now in this video. If you're watching this on YouTube, I want you to take a second. I want you to go back. And I want you to look at Kratos' face when he wakes Atreus up. He does not have the strong Kratos conviction that we're used to seeing. He just saw Faye, and now he's seeing Atreus. He knows what's coming, and that man looks sad and worried. Seriously, look at his... When I unpause this, you might see it. But if you're watching this on YouTube, I really do encourage you. Go back like 20 seconds and just look at his face when he wakes his son up. He feels this in a very profound way.
I'll meet you outside, Father. Sir.
We'd hoped to fly into battle with you one more time, my queen.
Me too. But not as your queen. As sisters. Are you ready?
Yes. I will be your general.
It will be an honor to fight alongside you, General.
Aye, brother. I'll be right by your side. So, what are your orders?
To the temple.
See you in part 35. I know. Master yourselves. Calm your minds. And with part 35, we shall head to Asgard. YouTube, I appreciate you all so much. Thank you for trusting me with these playthroughs. Thank you for giving a damn about what I have to say. I hope that these videos are meaningful for you. I love doing them. I'm so glad you've been along for the journey. We will follow Kratos into the dark in part 35. Leave a like, leave a comment, check the links in the description. If you're binging, I'll see you in a second. If you're waiting for the next one, we will get it out as soon as we can. I appreciate you all. I'll catch you on the next one.